Outside, the wind is howling, temperatures are plunging below zero, and a snowstorm is burying roads under feet of powder. But inside massive poultry houses across the heartland of America, life goes on at full speed. Thousands of chickens are feeding, growing, and staying warm, because the supply chain for your supermarket can't afford to pause. This is how chicken production survives snowstorms in the USA, and the systems behind it are more intense than most people realize. Let's start with the buildings themselves. Modern commercial poultry houses are built like fortresses against the elements. We're talking steel frames, thick insulation in the walls and ceiling, and controlled airflow designs that keep heat where it belongs. When a winter storm rolls in, these structures become climate-controlled bubbles, shielding tens of thousands of birds from conditions that would otherwise kill them in hours. The floors are covered with fresh bedding material, wood shavings, rice hulls, or chopped straw, that provides cushioning and absorbs moisture. That bedding layer also acts as insulation from the cold ground below, and stocking density matters here. Birds generate their own body heat, so producers calculate how many chickens per square foot will create a stable microclimate without overcrowding. It's a careful balance. Too few and the house runs cold. Too many, and you risk stress and disease. The heating systems themselves are engineering marvels. Most operations use radiant brooder heaters during the early growth stages, then switch to forced air furnaces or heat exchangers as the flock matures. These aren't household units. They're commercial-grade systems capable of heating thousands of square feet while maintaining precise temperature zones. Some farms have backup heating units installed specifically for winter emergencies, knowing that a single furnace failure during a blizzard could cost them an entire flock. Temperature controllers are calibrated down to single-degree accuracy, and they adjust constantly based on outside conditions, bird age, and house humidity levels. Inside, the daily routine doesn't change much when snow is falling outside. Workers still walk the rows every morning and evening, checking for any birds showing signs of illness or injury, inspecting feeders and waterers, and monitoring the environment. Automated systems handle most of the heavy lifting, but human eyes are still the best early warning system. When a blizzard hits, farm crews are actually more present, not less. They know that if something goes wrong in sub-zero conditions, the window to fix it is measured in minutes, not hours. Experienced workers can tell when something's off just by listening. A change in the sound of the ventilation fans, an unusual quiet from the birds, or the smell of rising ammonia levels. These subtle cues often catch problems before automated sensors register them. Now here's the part that surprises most people. Ventilation. You'd think in freezing weather, you'd seal everything tight and crank the heat, but that's a fast track to disaster. Chickens exhale moisture with every breath. They also produce ammonia from their waste. Without constant air exchange, humidity skyrockets, ammonia builds up, and respiratory disease spreads like wildfire. So even in the middle of a snowstorm, ventilation systems are running. These aren't just basic fans. They're computer-controlled setups with variable speed drives, inlet vents that pull in fresh air, and exhaust fans that cycle stale air out. The trick is moving just enough air to keep ammonia low and humidity in check without dropping the temperature or creating drafts that stress the birds. Some houses use tunnel ventilation with evaporative cooling in summer, but in winter they switch to minimum ventilation mode. Small, precise air exchanges that keep the environment stable. Sensors track temperature, humidity, and ammonia levels in real time, feeding data to controllers that adjust fan speeds automatically. It's a high-wire act, and when it's done right, the birds stay healthy and productive no matter what's happening outside. The incoming cold air is strategically directed to mix with warm air near the ceiling before it reaches the birds, preventing cold shock. Exhaust fans are positioned to pull stale air from the lowest points where ammonia concentrates. And all of this happens automatically, around the clock, adjusting every few minutes based on changing conditions. Water and feed are the next critical pieces. Chickens need constant access to both, and in winter, that means fighting physics. Water lines run the length of the house, delivering fresh water to nipple drinkers or bell drinkers at each station. In freezing weather, those lines can ice over if they're not protected. Most modern systems have heated water lines or insulated piping that keeps the flow moving. Some farms run a slow trickle through the system overnight to prevent stagnation and freezing. Water quality is monitored constantly because cold weather can affect mineral content and pH levels, which in turn affects bird health and growth rates. Feed delivery is automated too. Augers and chain feeders distribute pellets or crumbles from bulk storage bins outside the house. Those bins are filled by truck deliveries that have to keep rolling even when roads are buried. Feed suppliers coordinate closely with farms during storm windows, prioritizing deliveries before conditions get too dangerous and stockpiling enough to ride out a few days if needed. Inside the house, controllers portion out feed based on the age and weight of the flock, ensuring steady growth without waste. Feed formulations also change with the seasons. Winter rations often have slightly higher energy content to help birds maintain body temperature and growth rates in colder conditions. The feed itself is stored in silos that are built to withstand heavy snow loads and ice accumulation. Workers monitor bin levels constantly, especially before a storm, making sure there's enough on hand to last through extended weather events. Some operations have heated bin discharge points to prevent bridging. That's when feed clumps together and stops flowing. It's a small detail, but in the middle of a blizzard, it's the difference between birds eating on schedule or going hungry for hours. Power is the lifeline that holds this entire operation together. Lose electricity in the middle of a snowstorm, and you've got maybe an hour before things start going sideways. That's why every commercial poultry operation has backup generators, often multiple units, ready to kick in the moment the grid drops. These aren't portable home units. They're industrial-grade diesel or propane systems capable of running the entire farm for days. Fuel tanks are kept full heading into winter, and generators are tested weekly. Some farms have automatic transfer switches that detect a power outage and start the generator within seconds, ensuring there's no gap in ventilation or heating. Alarm systems are wired into every critical point. Temperature sensors, fan failures, water pressure drops, power outages. When something trips, alerts go out instantly to the farm manager and on-call crew via phone, text, and app notifications. Storm protocols kick in before the first flake falls. That means topping off fuel, checking generator function, inspecting heating systems, clearing snow from ventilation inlets, and making sure access roads to the farm are passable. Crews stay on standby, sometimes sleeping in offices or nearby motels, so they can respond in minutes if an alarm sounds at 3 in the morning. They keep emergency supplies on hand: spare fan belts, heating elements, water line parts, and tools. Because when you're miles from town in a whiteout, you can't wait for a parts delivery. Biosecurity takes on a whole new dimension in winter. Cold weather can actually increase disease pressure because birds are housed more densely and ventilation is more restricted. Viruses and bacteria thrive when conditions get sloppy, so farms double down on controlled entry protocols. Anyone entering a poultry house has to go through a Danish entry system. That's a clean side and dirty side separated by a barrier. You step in, remove your street clothes and boots, shower if required, and put on farm-issued coveralls and boots on the clean side. During winter, this process gets even stricter because tracking in contaminated snow or mud from other farms is a real risk. Footbaths with disinfectant are refreshed constantly, and vehicle tires get sprayed down before entering the property. Feed trucks, service vehicles, and transport trailers are all sanitized. Dead bird removal is handled with extreme care. Carcasses are picked up daily and either composted on site or sent to rendering facilities, always following strict pathways to avoid cross-contamination. Winter also brings wild bird migrations, and those can carry avian influenza and other pathogens. Farms use netting, roofing, and exclusion zones to keep wild birds away from feed storage and ventilation inlets. The goal is simple: protect the flock and protect the supply chain. One outbreak can shut down an entire operation for weeks and send shockwaves through the market. Some farms go even further with biosecurity during winter months, limiting visitor access entirely, requiring negative test results before entry, and implementing downtime periods where anyone who's been to another farm has to wait before entering. It sounds extreme, but when you're managing tens of thousands of birds and millions of dollars in livestock, you can't take chances. Disease doesn't care about the weather. In fact, winter stress can make flocks more vulnerable, so vigilance has to increase. When the birds reach market weight, they have to leave the farm, and that's where winter logistics get brutal. Live-haul crews work around the clock, loading chickens into modular crates stacked on flatbed trailers. Timing is everything. Loads have to be scheduled when roads are passable, processing plants are ready, and weather windows allow safe travel. During a storm, coordinators prioritize which farms get picked up first based on bird age, road conditions, and plant capacity. Drivers navigate icy highways, sometimes in convoys, keeping in constant contact with dispatchers. Trailers are enclosed but ventilated to prevent heat stress even in cold weather. Thousands of birds packed together generate a lot of warmth. If a truck gets stranded, it's a race against time to get it moving or transfer the load before conditions inside deteriorate. Some operations have contingency plans with alternate routes, staging areas, and backup transport providers. They track weather forecasts days in advance and sometimes move pickup schedules earlier to beat incoming storms. Communication between farms, haulers, and processing plants is constant. Everyone has to stay synchronized or the whole system backs up. Once the birds reach the processing plant, they're unloaded and moved through a highly automated system. Stunning, slaughter, plucking, evisceration, chilling, portioning, and packaging. All of this happens in temperature-controlled environments because food safety regulations don't bend for weather. Workers in these plants are also dealing with winter challenges, keeping loading docks clear of ice, maintaining refrigeration units in extreme cold, and ensuring sanitation systems don't freeze. The final product, whole birds, breasts, thighs, wings, tenders, is packed, labeled, and loaded into refrigerated trucks for distribution. From there, it fans out into the broader economy. Supermarkets stock their cold cases with family packs and meal-sized portions. Restaurants receive bulk orders for their menus. Fast food chains get shipments for fried chicken sandwiches, nuggets, and tenders. Food service distributors supply schools, hospitals, and cafeterias. And none of this stops because of snow. The demand is constant, and the supply chain has to match it. Behind the scenes, logistics teams are coordinating warehouse space, managing inventory turns, and rerouting shipments around closed roads or delayed deliveries. It's a massive operation that most people never see, but it's running full speed every single day, winter or not. Now, it's worth mentioning that eggs go through similar winter challenges. Layer houses have their own climate control, feed systems, and biosecurity protocols. But the focus here is on meat production, because that's where the volume and logistical complexity really stand out. Broiler chickens grow fast, ready for market in just weeks, which means the production cycle is intense and unforgiving. There's no room for delays or mistakes. So that's the journey. From climate-controlled poultry houses riding out blizzards, to automated feed and water systems fighting freezing temperatures, to backup power and on-call crews ready to respond in minutes, to strict biosecurity protecting flocks from winter disease, to live haul trucks navigating icy roads, to processing plants running full speed, to the supermarket shelves and restaurant kitchens that never go empty. It's a supply chain engineered to survive the coldest, harshest conditions the American winter can throw at it. And it does, every single year. The people behind this system, the farmers, the drivers, the plant workers, the logistics coordinators, they don't get enough credit for what they do. They're out there in the freezing cold, working long hours, solving problems on the fly, and making sure the rest of us have food on our tables. It's not glamorous work, but it's essential, and it takes serious skill, dedication, and grit to pull it off when the weather turns brutal. If you found this look inside winter chicken production interesting, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Drop a comment below and let me know what extreme weather supply chain you want to see next. dairy in a heat wave, citrus during a freeze, or maybe seafood through hurricane season. There's a whole world of food production happening behind the scenes, and we're just getting started. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.